Hello, I'm Dr. Vanita Rattan. I'm a doctor, but I'm also a cosmetic formulator specifically for skin of colour. Right, so today's video is all about retinol and retinol myths. It literally has become the number one skincare ingredient that people Google, that people want to know about, that people want to purchase. However, there are a lot of myths flying around the internet, so I thought I would take this opportunity to set the record straight on retinol, and specifically for skin of colour. The reason is, skin of colour, our melanocytes are larger and they are easier to trigger. As I always say, one scratch, one bite or one burn and we hyperpigment. We cannot afford to irritate the skin. And retinol is an alcohol and can be quite irritating. So actually we need to know the correct percentages, how to layer them, what to use in combination, what to avoid, common mistakes made, and then of course my favorite products with retinol in it. So if that sounds good to you, give me a thumbs up. Let's dive right in. First thing you need to know that retinol is part of the vitamin A family. Now, the vitamin A family, not all the members are equal. They have different irritancy profiles and different efficacy. So we start off with retinol palmitate, which is the least irritating, but also the least effective. This then gets converted to retinol, which can be very irritating and a bit more effective than retinol palmitate. Then we move on to retinaldehyde, which is a lot more effective than retinol, but actually very little irritation. It's my favorite for skin of color. Then we move on to retinoic acid, which can be very irritating and very effective. So as you can see, not all the family members are the same, but today we're only focusing on retinol because it is the most widely available. It's not my favorite for skin of color, but it's the most accessible. Right, moving on to myth number one is you can't use retinol in the summer. This isn't true. It does increase cell turnover, so we prefer you wear it at nighttime because when you go out into the sun, retinol itself can be quite irritating. I don't want you to have an ingredient that irritates your skin and then go out into the sun and then you have UV and environmental assault on the skin. It also, UV will render any vitamin A ineffective as soon as you go out. So this is why we say wear your vitamin A at nighttime so you get the maximum benefit at nighttime, but it's not actually going to harm you, especially retinol palmitate or retinaldehyde. The two least irritating vitamin A's are not going to harm you when you go out into the sun. Retinol, if you're getting irritation, I would just avoid it during the day. You can wear it at night. Even in the summer, it does increase cell turnover, but it doesn't lead to photosensitivity. This means just wear your SPF 50, be really good with your SPF 50, and you can wear your retinol all year round. The second myth is that vitamin A is an exfoliant. It is not an exfoliant. What it does is it increases cell turnover. So yes, the epidermis gets thinner because you're removing the dead skin cells. They're shedding faster. And this means that it's great for anti-aging and also for acne, but it doesn't actually exfoliate the skin. If you're getting flaking, it's because your skin is reacting to the retinol. You're overdoing it. That should not be happening. So if you're seeing flaking and you think, oh, the retinol is exfoliating my skin, no, the retinol is irritating your skin. You're using too high a percentage and your skin is reacting. It's damaging your skin barrier. That should not happen. Mistake number three, or myth number three, is the higher the percentage retinol, the better. No, more is not better, especially with retinol because it can be irritating. So for skin of color, I would always recommend a maximum of 0.5%. The reason is that once you get to that 1% mark, a lot more of you are going to be irritated, are going to flake with it, and damaging that skin barrier can lead to hyperpigmentation. So for skin of color in particular, I want you to stick with that 0.5% or less. A couple of the ones from the top of my head would be 0.3% retinol from Paula's Choice and 0.5% retinol from The Ordinary. I do, however, prefer The Ordinary because it's in an airless pump and there's no light or oxygen that can get through. Don't forget, retinol is an antioxidant. It is unstable in UV and oxygen. So unless it is in a combination with many other antioxidants, you're going to prefer it in an airless pump. The next myth number 4, is that retinol's really common. That must mean that the results are fast. No, the results, one cell cycle from cells to go from the basal layer up to the surface where you can see it takes 30 days. It usually takes about 3 cell cycles to see the full benefit of ingredients such as retinol. So actually you're looking at about a 3-month period before you start seeing the results. It's not going to be something immediate. So the reason I'm saying this is I don't want you to get disheartened that, 4 weeks in you've been using it and you haven't seen any results. There's a reason for it. So it's the mechanism of how your skin works, that you want that full 3 cell cycles before you give up on any ingredient. Myth number 5 is that you can't wear retinol around the eye area. You can actually wear the vitamin A family around the eye area. With retinol though, I would want to keep it at about 0.1, 0.2% because the skin around the eye is much thinner than the rest of the face. And so if you're formulating a cream specifically for the eye area, first of all, I would always opt for retinol palmitate for around the eye area. So I did that, for example, with the Dr. V Dark Circles kit. We use retinol palmitate for that. If you want to formulate with retinol, that's fine, but I would just use it at about 0.1 to 0.2%. If you want to make an epic anti-aging cream for around the eye area, use retinaldehyde. It's a lot more expensive, I know, but incredible. The next myth is that you should apply retinol to dry skin. The reason we used to say this is because you want to cause less irritation, but actually now we prefer the sandwich method, whereby you use your moisturizer first, which is essentially wet skin really, and then because there's water in it, then you apply your retinol and then you apply your moisturizer on top. Especially for skin of color, this is a much safer method to ensure that you're creating a healing environment while you're using active ingredients on the skin. The next myth is that you should only start using retinol once you start getting fine lines. Otherwise, aren't you just causing your skin to age faster? The answer is no. You start producing 1% less collagen from 21 years old onwards. If I could go back in time at my 21-year-old self, I would tell myself to do everything I could to stimulate collagen and to maintain collagen, because it only reduces every year. So don't wait until you get fine lines before you start on your low percentage retinol cream. And this is why I created the Dr. Vanita Rattan range, is because I used retinol palmitate in there, and I wanted everyone from 20 years old onwards, which is really when your collagen starts to reduce, to start using it at that point, because you want to extend the amount of time your skin has a strong collagen base, so you minimize dynamic lines. You want to really prolong that time before dynamic lines set in. Once you start with dynamic lines, when you smile it happens, then static lines start, where you literally your face is still and your lines are still there. So that would be my advice to my younger self, is to start on your vitamin A from 20 years old plus. Don't wait until you get your fine lines, because then the damage has been done. And prevention is always better than cure. On that note, the other ingredients I love for anti-aging would be tetrahexyldecylascorbate, fat-soluble vitamin C, gets into the dermis to stimulate collagen, and your peptides, which I of course included in the whole Dr. Vanita Rattan range, because I actually just made it for my face. I didn't realize it was going to be for everybody, but now it will be for everybody. The next myth is that you can't wear vitamin A during the day. Okay, so it basically becomes ineffective as soon as you go out, but it doesn't lead to photosensitivity. So for example, when I formulate an anti-aging body oil for my own body, and I put retinaldehyde into that for my skin. Especially post-pregnancy, I noticed that my skin was feeling saggy and I wanted my skin to snap back as best as it could. So I put tetrahexyldecylascorbate and retinaldehyde into a body oil just for my body. And I knew that I tend to shower at nighttime. I know I put my body oil on at nighttime, and in the morning I'm not going to have another shower. So I needed to ensure that my skin doesn't react when it goes out into the sun. And retinaldehyde does that because it's non-irritating. It's not like retinol, which is irritating. But it stops working. So you just need to know it becomes ineffective as soon as you go out, but doesn't lead to photosensitivity. So that's important. On that note, if you want me to make the anti-aging body oil that I make for my body, for you guys, can you write down the words below, body oil? Just so I can even gauge if it's something that you want or if it's just something that I wanted, as I made, just so that I know what you guys want. I do whatever you tell me to do. And the last myth is that you can't use vitamin A and vitamin C together. This is not true, of course. I wouldn't, for example, use retinol with ascorbic acid because you're now putting two irritating ingredients together. I would go for derivatives that are stable and non-irritating. So I would love, for example, with the body oil, I did retinaldehyde plus tetrahexyl ascorbate, and neither of them are irritating. They work well together on the body. For the facial pigmentation kit, for example, I used retinaldehyde, retinol palmitate, plus tetrahexyl ascorbate. So that's your vitamin C, and they're all derivatives, but they work well together without irritating the skin. So yes, you can absolutely formulate together, combine together, and they work well for skin of color. I'm in the comment section for 1 hour at the launch of every single video, so please hit that notification bell. Please follow me on Instagram. I've got 2 accounts, Skincare by Dr. V and Dr. Vanita Rattan. Also on TikTok, Dr. Vanita Rattan. If there are any videos you want me to make or any products that you want me to make for skin of color that don't exist right now, can you write them down below? If they already exist, then I'm just going to point you in that person's direction or that product's direction, because it is a lot of effort for me. But I only want to make products that don't exist that you guys need. And I'll just do my very best to make it happen. So please just write them down below and I'll put them on my to-do list. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.